Have you ever wondered why so many motorcycle riders crash in curves? In this video, I'm going to reveal the 3 main reasons why this keeps happening and what you can do to solve this problem and keep yourself safe out on the roads. But first, we need to understand that these crashes are happening with no other vehicles involved. That's right, the full fault and responsibility is on the rider alone. So if you're one of those riders who likes to complain about all the things the cagers are doing wrong even though you drive a car 99% of the time and have zero skills on a motorcycle, I'd love to hear your excuses in the comments for why you crashed this time, with no one else around you to blame. So now that we're taking responsibility for our own actions, let's see what we can do to avoid crashing in curves. First is speed. In order to safely navigate a curve, it's good practice to slow down prior to entering the turn. If you come into a turn too fast, you're likely to run wide, go off the road, and crash. By slowing down before the turn, you'll open up more options for yourself to safely make it through the curve, and you'll also have more chances for corrections in the event you make a mistake or need to make adjustments as you ride through the curve. Slow down enough to allow for a steady throttle or slight roll on of your throttle throughout the turn. If you're still trying to use your brakes and slow down as you're already traveling into and through the turn, that's an indicator that you came in too fast, and this can cause you to crash and get you killed. As I like to tell my students, you can always speed up through a turn if you come in too slow, but you cannot always slow down enough if you come in too fast. With a proper entry speed into the curve, next we can turn our heads and take a look at the second reason riders crash in curves. See what I did there? If you haven't guessed already, the second main reason is riders aren't looking where they need to in a curve. If you enter a turn and you're looking toward the edge of the road or at that guardrail or that signpost or that giant rock wall in the canyons, chances are you're going to ride right into it. This is called target fixation, and it's a huge problem with bikers crashing in curves. So instead of looking at the stuff you don't want to crash into, look where you want to go with your motorcycle. Hopefully this means the exit of the curve, so you can continue riding on down the road and having a good time. Even if you're not staring at that signpost but are only looking halfway through the turn, guess where you're going to end up. By turning your head, looking and pointing your nose all the way toward the exit of the turn, this will help you to get there, and it will allow you to look ahead at what's coming up in the next turn and the one after that, granting you an opportunity for situational awareness of the world around you and a chance to become aware of any hazards you might see up ahead or coming from behind. Speaking of behind, the third reason riders keep crashing in curves will definitely come up and bite you right in the ass if you get it wrong. The problem this time is riders don't know how to properly countersteer their motorcycles and aren't pushing correctly or enough, resulting in the bike not leaning enough to successfully navigate the curve. Even if you've got the perfect head turn and are willing your way to the exit of the curve, you still need to use the proper steering inputs to make it there. This means you need to learn to countersteer correctly and make sure you're pushing enough to achieve the lean your motorcycle needs to make it through the curve. Every single time Instructor Val and I see other motorcycle riders out on the roads, we're usually left shaking our heads as we observe their inability to properly steer and maneuver their bikes, especially in very basic turns. This is usually due to a lack of training, which is another huge problem getting a lot of riders killed. So make sure to watch this video next to avoid the one thing 40% of dead bikers had in common.